Hi, I'm Linda. This is episode 8 in my experiences dating as a senior. Though most of the time it is me who initiates contact, on occasion someone contacts me first. If a guy makes this rare move, I'll give him a chance. HJ was certainly one of a kind, a self-confessed hippie, musician, teacher, and gardener. He was bald on top with a huge beard, and where the hair did still grow around the back, it was very long and wild. He was very personable and quite smart, and had a genuine interest in me. He even bought a copy of one of my books online and read it. I was flattered. I was a wild child and thoroughly embraced the hippie culture in my youth. I enjoyed the heck out of it and have no regrets. Since then, I have discovered that the concept of being a hippie means different things to different people. And it is just as ambiguous as meeting another music lover. I considered being a hippie means being more open-minded. Wrong again. It is like thinking logic means like-minded. Turns out everyone has their own logic, which is not at all the same as yours. There were photos of HJ's property, which were typical of a serious hoarder. He said he had a treehouse that he rented out sometimes. He also said it had a bucket of sawdust for a toilet, so I would not have been interested in checking it out. There was a Highland Games event not too far from me, so we agreed to meet up there. He liked to earn a few quid busking, so he was planning to be near the entrance playing his guitar. On the day, he called to let me know that it was not set up for him to do that, so we met up in front of a restaurant in the town nearest to the games. Though his profile said he was taller than me, he seemed shorter and was rather skinny. His clothes were old and tattered and included a makeshift kilt, but he was fine with that, as he didn't like to see anything go to waste. His hands were filthy and his teeth were very bad, and it didn't help that he really looked like a hermit. I followed his car to the games and parked next to him, where his caravan was parked in the lot with other caravans. It was also old and tattered as well as quite small, and required a padlock hasp and staple to keep the door shut, and he stashed the key very near to it under the caravan. He wasn't worried about anything being stolen because there was nothing in it of value. He did have a decent car to tow it with, so I'll give him that. I took his arm and we walked around, watching the games, the dancing, and other demonstrations. I liked checking out the items for sale in the various stalls, but didn't see anything that appealed to me. After a while, we went back to his caravan for a cup of coffee. I would have bought him one, but he insisted on making it himself. The inside of the caravan was dirty and terribly cluttered. He had to move several things around just to make a place for me to sit. The cookware was questionable at best. The coffee he made in a percolator was laden with grounds. I soon realized I really needed a toilet. The only options were portable toilets on the site. HK gave me a roll of toilet paper and I set out to relieve myself. I stood in line for a long time and saw several people look inside them, shake their head, and walk away. Many of the toilets were no longer at all usable, and the toilet paper had long been used up in all of them. When I finally got a chance to use one, I took one look inside at the mess of TP and liquid all over everywhere, as well as the incredible stench and absolutely full toilet, turned around, shook my head, and left. I would wait until we got into town and found a restaurant. It was absolutely cringeworthy experience. While I was off trying to use the toilet, he hooked up his car to his caravan and prepared for the trip into town. Once he was ready, I followed him back to the restaurant where we had met. Unfortunately, it was in the process of closing, so we took a walk around a church next door and also down a little road as we discussed what else to do. He had planned to join up with some folk music friends in another nearby town, so I followed him there. When we got to the town, we parked in a lot near the town center. He backed his caravan into a slot and planned to stay there for the night. Many towns won't allow that, but he knew he could do that there. The pub where he met up with his friends was very quaint, and I finally got to use a toilet. He bought us a couple of cups of coffee with a huge jar of change, his busking take. I admit I was a little embarrassed, but I'm not sure why. Then he joined a circle of musicians and played folk music while I sat a bit back and watched. The musicians were really into it and clearly enjoying themselves. Me, not so much. If I was a musician and could play along, I might have enjoyed it more. I didn't know any of the songs, so there was nothing I could connect with, and that style of music doesn't appeal to me. I probably sat there for an hour before I felt basically ignored while he played with his friends. I got so restless, I decided it was time for me to go home. I quite liked AJ, but could not see him as a romantic interest. We all want to be accepted for who we are. He felt there was nothing wrong with himself and couldn't understand why it was so hard for him to find someone. I could tell he really wanted a lady to come nest with him and also go around to his various folk music events. I'm just baffled when a man doesn't feel the need to clean himself up and make himself as presentable as possible when trying to attract a mate. I once ran into another man who was physically attractive enough, but he smelled extremely bad of body odor. I got away as soon as it was appropriate. I will not tell a man how to improve himself. At my age, people don't change, so there is no point in saying anything. I might find it useful if a man told me why he was rejecting me, but that rarely happens. There have been comments that I should lose weight. I find it offensive as I've been aware of that my entire life, and I don't need anyone to remind me. If my size is a problem for the guy, then he shouldn't contact me in the first place. If someone feels the need to judge me, it is based on their own insecurities. So I don't accept their judgment of me. When I was in my early 30s, I spent a year going to the gym and starving myself and got down to a weight where people were asking me if I was anorexic. Truth be known, I found myself bony and with no boobs, which was not a good look. At least I found out I do not have a frame with a narrow waist, so no matter how much I weigh, I will never have a classic figure. While trying to look like what other people thought I should look like, I was miserable the entire time. I did get compliments, but those faded eventually. I was tired when I went to the gym and tired when I got out. And I really hated not being able to eat any of the foods I really liked. In the end, it didn't make a bit of difference, so I gained back everything I lost and more. It took me most of my life to accept myself as I am, and I feel much better since I stopped riding the diet roller coaster. Don't try to change yourself to suit someone else. It won't work, because everyone will have a different idea of how you should be. If someone tells me to put down the brownie and back away, maybe I will, and maybe I won't. I just try to be sensible these days. Therefore, I will carry on as I am. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.